Morning, everybody. I'm Mike Mock with Infinite Campus, and want to thank you all for joining us to take time to review the question and answer session that we've set up with the help of KDE for your server update with the updates to SQL and the unique URLs. I'd like to just start off with some introductions, and then we'll get right into some of the questions that were submitted. You will have the opportunity to use the question and answer panel that's part of Teams. So if you have questions, please make sure that you type them in. And if we don't have answers to those questions today, we will definitely work with our team here at campus and at KDE to get those answers. Today with me, I have Lisa DeGarris, who is your district client relationship manager, and hopefully you're all very familiar with her and grateful to have her on the call. Also, one of our support solutions engineers, who has been a part of many of these transfers over for the unique URL process and is a very good expert, David Akla, and he'll be answering some many questions, as well as Matt Caffra, who is our manager and product technology or hosting managed services. Matt is very familiar with the SQL backend process, and we are in good hands with a lot of those questions that will come up today. One thing that I did want to highlight is that cases are already created for all of our districts, and specific questions towards your districts can always be referred to those in those cases, and it's a great place to pose those questions. And if you have specifics, to get answers back. We definitely want to ease your mind that we have done hundreds of this process now for hundreds of districts, and it will go smooth. So there may be questions that you have, and definitely feel free to ask those during our question and answer session today. And then also in the case, if there's something that comes up that we weren't able to address. One of the questions that I just wanted to take time to address off the bat is why this time frame was chosen. So there's three main reasons, and you can see the bullets here, mainly to minimize disruption. So the impact for all users, if we were to do it during the week, there is required downtime, and that would mean parents and students and staff members would not be able to log into campus. So there was a question also about why wasn't it just scheduled in the summer. We decided that it would be better versus for all of KDE to have a core group to go through I guess, not really a beta, but that transfer first and learn from those to make sure that the process runs a little smoother, so that the summer was already full of those what we call campus cloud transitions. And then the main reason that this is happening is because of the end of life for Microsoft SQL 2016. So we're moving to the 22 version to keep everybody up to date and most secure. The following slides that will come up are going to be ones that were submitted questions in advance, and we will take time to go through all those and then review the questions and answers that may pop up during the team meeting if there are additional questions. I am going to advance the slide, and then one of my experts will chime in and help answer. So thank you all again for being here.
Okay, so one of the questions that we got is there anything specific to my district, instructions that have been given specific to my district? Yes, specific instructions have already been doled out. You'll want to take a look in you authorized contacts. You're going to want to take a look in the support portal. You'll see a case with SQL 2022 in the name. So that's specifically for the authorized support contacts and technical support contacts. Typically 3 of those per district. If you're an authorized contact, you can put in a case to add additional support contacts, and you can work with Lisa if your district doesn't have any for some reason. see, thank you. So there's an attachment on your SQL 2022 case, and that attachment gives very specific guidance of things you need to look at in your user interface and in your third-party systems. And basically any various modules required you to give your Infinite Campus URL to another system, something like that. And now you need to make sure that that URL gets updated in that other system or part of the product. And we go through that in a lot of detail. So you're going to want to go to that case. This is what it'll look like. SQL 2022 update and URL change. Open that case up. And you're going to see two things in here. You'll see a note that we opened the case with. Please read through that whole thing if you haven't already. That's got really good info. And then as an attachment, and it should also show at the bottom of the note, we have URL change instructions. And those, again, are tailored to your district. We have taken stock of the modules that your district uses that will require some attention to continue working. Go in somewhere and update a URL. And we've listed out step by step what you need to do for each of those. So if you haven't taken a look at that, please take a look at that. The instructions, read through them now, and then you're going to want to follow them immediately after you've been notified that your URL change has occurred. So I want to highlight three different things that it's important to take action on immediately after your URL change is complete and you're back up and running. Everything listed in those instructions is pretty important, but these three are especially important because they can affect your ability to sign in and the ability for the system to function well. So single sign-on. If your district uses single sign-on, you're going to need to go, as soon as your URL has been changed and you're back up, you're going to need to go into your single sign-in identity provider system, Google or Microsoft or whoever you're doing SSO through. And there's 2 or 3 different URLs that you'll need to update on that end and save out so that SSO keeps working and that your users are able to continue logging in. Google reCAPTCHA. If your district uses Google reCAPTCHA as opposed to our normal CAPTCHA, that's the thing that if you fail to sign in properly 5 times in a row, it pops up and says, hey, do this thing. The default Infinite Campus one is just letters and numbers. So if you're using that, then this doesn't apply to you. But if you're using the, what does the Google reCAPTCHA one look like? It's I'm not a robot, the little I'm not a robot checkbox. If you're using that, then your district's Google admin will need to go into that system, into the Google reCAPTCHA admin page. And there's one place where you told Google what your district URL was, and you'll need to update that so that Google reCAPTCHA keeps working. Why that's important is if a user failed to log in 5 times in a row and you hadn't updated that, then they would get stuck and wouldn't be able to get past the reCAPTCHA part because that Google wouldn't be looking to the correct URL. So that's completed by the Google admin at your district. And then the last thing that I wanted to especially highlight is any districts that use Infinite Campus Food Service point of sale terminals. There is a place within your point of sale terminal where you're going to want to go in and give it your new Infinite Campus URL. Otherwise, your terminal isn't able to send its transactions back to Infinite Campus, and those could pile up. So those 3 things, especially important to take action on. Again, we've detected if any of these are relevant to your district, and we've given step-by-step instructions in the case. So another question that we got is, when will we be, when will staff be available to make URL update changes? So you're going to complete your testing and then post a case. We will complete our testing on our end, and then we'll post a case note to the case that you can start your testing and make your necessary changes. Typically, this is a 2nd business day. So it's a 2-day thing, and you're going to hear from us on typically the 2nd day, unless things go really fast, and then maybe the end of the 1st day. In the event our custom report launched via JSP file doesn't work after the new URL takes effect, who do we contact? So One thing that some districts may have is a custom JSP file, like a custom page in the product that was created by our custom development or technical services team back in the day, or maybe by your own district. And you're going to want to take inventory of those if you have that, and make sure that there's nothing about those custom pages that in their backend code refer to an old URL. We wanted to highlight this because this does not actually apply to very many districts, but the instructions that we sent out are going to list every custom tab you have that has the phrase .jsp in it. So that listed all of your KDE reports and all of your edit reports. And for the KDE reports and edit reports, you can ignore that in the instructions. Don't worry about those. Look for and review anything else. And if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to us through the case. But we cast a wide net on identifying the potential for custom JSP files, and that wide net brought in the edit reports and KDE reports, which can be ignored because there's going to be no problem with those. Next question. Will the public-facing address pool that currently is the source of IP addresses for data exports be changed as a result of this move? So context on this one, if your district is using something like the data extract utility, your district is sending a file to maybe an SFTP server for a third-party vendor. At some point, that third-party vendor had to go in and allow list the IP address that your Infinite Campus server uses so that they can accept files from you. So the question is your Infinite Campus server IP address changing, and might your third-party vendor that you send files to need to know about that? Yes, your IP address is changing. Most vendors already have that information because our advice when setting up a data extract utility extract is to provide the vendor all Infinite Campus, all possible Infinite Campus outgoing IPs. There's a handful of them. So as long as that was done, no change is required. All of the big vendors already have all of our IPs allow listed. If you're working with some tiny vendor and you suspect your district may have only provided one really specific IP address somehow to them, then you will want to review these documents. The firewall review checklist document, which links to our allow list IPs for third-party systems document. Again, that's the allow list IPs for third-party systems. This is instructions on how to, in our support portal. In our support portal, we have a document that lists the IPs you need to provide to a third-party system so that they can access when you send files to them and that sort of thing. And this document shows you exactly how to get to that document and what part of that document you would need to provide. That document's out in the support portal, available to authorized contacts. And again, let us know through the case if you have any questions on that process. But again, most large vendors already have all relevant campus IPs allow listed. Will the current DNS entry to reach our district's login page be redirected to reach the new server, or will there be a new DNS entry? There will be a new DNS entry. We are putting a redirect on your homepage, so that redirect will last a minimum of 2 years. There we go. Will the old URL be automatically redirected to the new URL? Yes, it will, for a minimum of 2 years. That's specifically for the URL on your login screen. Some of those other URLs, the SSO specific URLs and that sort of stuff, it's not possible to automatically redirect. But login screen, yes, will. Will this affect our nightly jobs from data extract utilities? So this is pretty much a duplicate of the last question. So again, the one thing to make sure of is that the vendor or server you're sending your file to has Infinite Campus IP addresses allow listed. Other than that, there shouldn't be anything you need to worry about with your data extract utility extracts. And again, these are the documents to take a look at in the knowledge base if you have any concerns about that. Firewall review checklist and allow list IPs for third-party systems. Will this affect our data extract utility SFTP key exchange manager? No, it will not. The DU SFTP key exchange key is a record in a table. So that's not tied to the previous server that you were on. This is asking about, it's possible to set up an additional layer of authentication with your data extract utility extracts and have them authenticate not just through a password, but through a key exchange. And I think the concern here was maybe that key would have been stored on the old server, not on the new one, but it's a record in the database, so that moves over automatically. Will staff, parents, guardians, and students need to update their saved passwords in apps and browsers? So this was an interesting question. Like, yes, technically. The URL is changing for your district, and so I think this is about if a student or a parent or a staff member, for that matter, is using a password manager or is using like the built-in password manager in Chrome or something, and they have their username and password saved for your site, that what they saved is tied to your site's URL. So when your URL changes, now that browser may not prompt them to auto fill in their username and password anymore. It would do that if they hit the old URL, but not the new one. So optionally, you could tell your users to, hey, go in and update what URL your credentials in your password manager are saved for. In my opinion, that might cause more confusion and panic and whatever than not worrying about it. But that's a call that you guys can make. That is a minor impact that the URL change will have. Are there changes for district SQL access? Yes. So there's an audit of existing SQL accounts that will be completed as a part of the server upgrades, and we're going to open up a separate case for that. It's called Access Account Audit. You'll see that in the name of the case, and you authorized contacts will see that in your support portal. Also, the ODBC string will be changing as well, and that's been communicated through the support case that we've opened already. Will there be Infinite Campus staff available over the holidays to help with fixing unforeseen issues? So if you're having unforeseen issues, please let us know immediately through that SQL 2022 case, and we'll hop on that. Managed Services has on-call staff 24/7 for any server-related issues, outages, that sort of thing. Site isn't coming back up. Campus support, our hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. On Christmas Eve, we are available until 1 p.m. Eastern, and we are closed Christmas Day for support. Managed Services still has that on-call staff Christmas Day as well. And now we will move to the Q&A.
David and Matt, I just see one question coming in from Martin. Does the stored password not matching URL issue definitely apply to the parent and student mobile apps in addition to regular browser access?
It does not apply to the parent and student mobile apps. Parent and student mobile apps should notice no change.
Thank you.
That was a good question. Thanks for asking that one, Martin. That should quell some fears on that.
What about districts that use Checkmate? Will Checkmate kiosks need to be updated to the new URL? So Checkmate is a product by one of our channel partners, K12 Solutions. I'm not sure if David or Matt would know the answer to that offhand, but I'm sure we can definitely find out.
We will work with K12 to get an answer to that, communicate it. I don't know that off the top of my head. Is that, so I'll ask a clarifying question about that. At some point in the Checkmate kiosk setup, did you have to provide your Infinite Campus URL to that system? If yes, then yes. Any time where you've taken the Infinite Campus URL and provided it to some third-party system, that's going to need to get updated.
Can you please send out links for updating SSO and CAPTCHA so we don't have to hunt them down?
Yes. That has been done and is in your case in that .txt file attachment with the instructions. We go step by step what you need to do for updating CAPTCHA, Google reCAPTCHA, I mean, and step by step what you need to do for updating SSO. If you use Google or Microsoft SSO, we go truly step by step exactly what you need to do in your identity provider. So just follow those instructions. If you use some other identity provider, we don't have our own test. I don't have my own test instance of those. So the instructions are more general, but if you have any trouble, please let us know.
Next one I see is, what is the process for Rapid Identity Hub connection? I don't know if that was something that we may need to work with a KDE and the cases team for some more information on what might happen there. I'm aware of the big project to install Rapid Identity for. Sorry, Martin, I see you unmuted.
Yeah, I just added a comment to that. Identity Automation is definitely going to handle the OneRoster aspect of this. We're still working out if anybody has done Direct Federation ID, SSO by that time, how that will be taken care of. But that would be a small number. But for provisioning, OneRoster Identity Automation will take care of it on the Rapid end.
So that's actually a piece of the instructions that you can probably ignore then, because we list all OneRoster connections in those instructions.
Thank you both. With us transitioning prior to the new year, what are the support hours for the New Year's? So it'll be the same 24-hour support for any issues with server where you would experience downtime. New Year's Day is a holiday for Infinite Campus, and that same business hours for New Year's Eve. How many districts in Kentucky have piloted this? Looks like this one has some answers from Matt has chimed in. SQL 2022 upgrade, JCPS, they did not require a URL change. Lincoln County was done last December, and outside of Kentucky, Matt said that we have done 1,800 local education agencies. This is just a comment. Also, Microsoft SSO.
Yes, if you use Microsoft for your SSO, yes, you'll need to go into Microsoft Intra and update those few URLs. And in your case, you'll see specific instructions on how to do that. And Aaron Smith says that they don't have a SQL 2022 case. Yes, you should have one, and we'll take a look at that. Let's see, what district are you with, Aaron? It's not providing me that information when I hover over your name. So if you could add that to your question, we'll take a look.
The only district that should not have a case would be Lincoln County, because they are already at the data center everybody's moving to, and they are already on SQL 22. So if Aaron happens to be from Lincoln County, that might be the answer. Nope, he's Nelson County. I'll check.
I see your case, Aaron.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like Aaron commented that he can see it now. So
Okay, good.
not sure if Matt was able to do something. He had mentioned we'd have one in an hour, but I'm guessing that Matt was just, if there was an issue, he was going to create one, but hopefully everything is good there. That is all the questions that I am seeing. So I'm just going to scroll quickly down through and make sure that I didn't miss any.
Pendleton County was wanting to make sure that we have a case for them, so we'll just check on that real quick. And yes, we do. So if you're not seeing the case, it may be assigned to a different authorized contact in your organization. That was the case with Aaron. It's assigned to Tara, but it is there. So you might just have to search all your cases for the words SQL 2022.
And there's a question about being added to the case. So through the support portal, you can definitely either have the authorized support contact that is already assigned, added, and Carrie, if you're an authorized contact, I'm sure we can find your case and do that for you now as well. But just in general, if you're missing it and you'd like to be added and you're an authorized or technical support contact for Infinite Campus, then any of the users that would assign can add you as a participant in that case. Let's see,
And
I did see. Oh,
I just want to say another note about seeing the case in the support portal. If you're filtering in a search for the case, the first word of the case is 2025. So it could be that if you're searching the word SQL because that's not the first part of the case name, then it doesn't show up. I haven't tested that. You might have searched 2025 if you're filtering.
I use the filters on the support cases constantly. If you go into view all cases instead of looking at a specific case number, if you do the view all cases, at the top, there's a filter, a little funnel that you can click and it'll show you options. If in subject, it defaults to starts with, change it to contains, and then in the little box next to it, type SQL space 2022, and you'll be able to see a case no matter who it's assigned to. And I also love the upgrade that happened to Salesforce several months back, where down at the bottom of any case you're looking at that's not yours, not assigned to you, there's notification recipients, and you can hit add, and you can add yourself to another case that's somebody else's so that you get all the emails about it.
Thank you, Lisa. That makes
Sorry,
sense.
I don't have screenshots of it though.
There's a question about KDE hours over the holidays. We'd have to follow up with Martin and Lisa for that. The next question that I see is for Campus Cloud Choice customers, will they be getting a URL, basically confirming that they wanted to confirm that they would or would not get a new URL? David or Matt, can you confirm if Campus Cloud Choice, so it would be?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, they will not, or they will.
Yes. Hey, Matt.
Campus Cloud Choice customers will not be having a URL change of any sort. They will be receiving a SQL 2022 upgrade, however.
Thank you. When was the report on the case pool mini may be useful to folks was before my SSO change, and it's just a little off. So do we know what date we pulled the reports for?
I don't know the
Vacation.
specific date, but it would have been within the last 2 weeks.
And if someone were to request like some updates, is that something that we could regenerate, Matt?
Yes, if representatives at the districts would like updates to those instructions based on changes they have or have not made in the prevailing weeks, we're able to provide refresh reports essentially within the support case.
I want to go back to Lindsay's question for a second about how does this affect Campus Cloud Choice? So like Matt said, it's not, in your case, Campus Cloud Choice. It won't be a URL change, but it is still a server move. So that does mean that that IP address is still changing. So you will still need to consider like the firewall documentation that we discussed. That piece still applies.
And the SQL audit still applies, right, to everybody.
Yep.
And on the question of Katie's office hours during this time, Katie is closed on, not on Christmas Eve, we're closed Christmas Day and the Friday afterwards, same New Year's Eve, New Year's Day and the Friday afterwards. However, the comment was we're having to reschedule because of things happening on the holidays. Nobody's conclusion of their updates are actually on the holidays. They're all on business days, right? So when the action would be expected from a district would be on that final day of your window. And somebody asked Matt something we discussed yesterday, which I thought was a good question of, based on historical data, when should we expect to be able to start our task? I know you said the second day, but is it around noon to earlier or later? And I didn't get that specific when I was writing up what we discussed yesterday. Can y'all talk about that a little more?
I'll let Matt answer that.
Like David mentioned, it's possible for it to be as early as the PM on the first day. We would typically expect all changes to have been completed and be ready for validation and configuration to be done by the districts before 12 PM on the following day. I will emphasize, though, that sometimes things go upside down, and we do need that full day to be able to sort them out before we turn that over to representatives at the districts to make any changes required. Typically,
Matt?
though, we're seeing for the 1,800 or so we've addressed so far with this change, that it's typically before noon on that second day that they are able to go in and make any changes they need to.
Matt, what about the districts that are scheduled over Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, where they've got an actual 4-day window on those districts, right? I
So it
believe.
would typically be the second full business day.
Okay.
That'd be excluding like New Year's Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
The next one I see was a request from the contact Alejandra about needing access to the case. It currently doesn't look like it's set up in our system as an authorized support contact. So that request could come from an existing authorized support contact within your district. And I'll follow up with Lisa DeGarris, who's also on the call, our district client relationship manager, to reach out and just make sure if that access can be added.
What district is it?
It is Casey County.
Thank you.
Yep. The next question, based on historical data, when should we expect to be able to start? And I think that's what I know you said the second day, and Matt just talked a little bit about that. I believe that is now all the newer questions. Scroll down again. Oh, got a new post. If we are scheduled for December 30th and the 31st, can we do our actions on January 2nd, or is that too late?
You can, but it really depends on what module you use, what the exact impact of that will be. If you're using SSO, then that would mean that nobody can sign in until you completed those actions. Nobody uses SSO. So you'd want to look through those instructions and see what would be impacted and communicate to your users those impacts.
We have Google CAPTCHA configured. Can we convert back to IC CAPTCHA?
Yes, you can definitely do that. That is in the account security settings. Let me find the exact name of that screen. 1 second. I'll get specific.
And you can do that temporarily too, until you have time to get the Google CAPTCHA reset, because the Google CAPTCHA is more friendly to students because it's picture based instead of the crazy little letters, right? Or is y'all picture based too?
No, ours is the crazy little letters. That's why
Okay.
people like Google CAPTCHA. Yeah, so that's under login security settings. You can just go to login security settings and there's something called CAPTCHA settings, and you either choose Google CAPTCHA or Campus CAPTCHA. So if until this is all over and done with, you want to switch back to Campus CAPTCHA, just click that and save. And then at some point in the future, you can update your Google CAPTCHA URL on the Google side of things, then switch it back to Google CAPTCHA and save again.
I did scroll down through, and I don't believe I missed any of the questions. We will try to review these and make sure if I did that we answer them back in a message either directly to you or get them posted somewhere. Maybe give another couple seconds here to see if there's any last second questions that come in. And while I do, I just want to say thank you to KDE again for helping set up this meeting to ease the transition and answer some questions that would come in from our users and districts. And definitely a big appreciation goes out to David and Matt for sharing their answers and their time to join in the call and help all our Kentucky districts. We definitely appreciate your time and your expertise. I do see one new post that's come in that time, and actually there's a couple. We are scheduled for December 23rd. There's a lot of posts that came in that little brief then, which is a Friday. Will it be the following Monday on the 29th when we receive confirmation from you? Scheduled for
In that case, that would very likely be by end of day, no later than end of day Friday. But again, we're shooting for around noon on the 26th in that case to notify you that your site is ready to be reconfigured.
This is a question. We should be able to update Azure, et cetera, if no one is going to use the system during holiday break, correct?
Right. You could hypothetically update your SSO URLs within your identity provider in advance. That will break it. But then once your Infinite Campus URLs are updated to match, then it will work again. So yes, you could do that.
Are there any updates needed for districts using fees or campus payments? Any updates for that connection?
No.
Are we able to update OneRoster connection URLs ahead of the switch? If we don't mind, it breaks those until the switch.
Yes, you can update your OneRoster URLs ahead of the switch. It will break your OneRoster connection until the switch is complete.
Do I send in a support case through IC to add my CIO? Yes, you can put in requests for additional support cases through the support portal, or for additional support
Yep.
contacts through the support portal.
And Lisa's comment on there is good and correct. There is a specific case type to modify support contacts that you can submit.
This is Martin. And you guys may not know this because it may vary, but for Matt and David, I guess, I'm wondering if there are situations where a one roster tool, the other end, has some kind of logic where it actually tries to validate connectivity before it will save new settings, which I guess that validation would not work in advance of your guys making your changes. I realize that's not under your control.
Yeah, hypothetically, my answer that you can go ahead and update your one roster vendor in advance could hypothetically have been specific, but on our end, yes. Off the top of my head, I can't think of too many that validate, but I know one or two do. I'm not sure which. So if it doesn't let you, then you can't.
There you go.
David, I know something we discussed yesterday, which was on the top 3 actions to take if you have a URL change. The point of sale terminals need to be updated before, if you use Campus Food Service, which we have about 27 districts that do, and they're probably mostly ones that'll have a URL change. That needs to be done before you do food service the first time after the update, but it doesn't have to be done the day the system comes back up. Just don't forget to do it. So
that's correct. Yep. And for food service, again, the impact of that would be that none of the transactions on that terminal can send until the URL is updated and correct. So you don't want those to pile up.
Another comment on timing, and I guess I definitely understand that it is falling under break and that's how I guess the only thing I can do is share the reason that the timing was selected is the number of people that it would impact and trying to make sure that this is as seamless and can be handled as quick as possible for you with making those clear directions.
I noticed the comment of very little notice on this. We started sending out notifications to the cases contacts as this was going to occur, I believe, in August. In our user groups in September, we talked about it. It might not have, and we've been talking about it on the CIO meetings that David Couch has monthly, the CIO webcast. So it may not have gotten to everybody that they knew that, but we have been trying to communicate it even before the cases went out, because we, just like somebody expressed earlier, how recently was this report pulled? That's part of the reason campus didn't do the cases in September or whatever, for this to happen in December, because too many changes might have occurred in the district. But we've been trying to get the word out, but we're sorry if you just now found out about it.
And another constraint we had is that Microsoft end of lifing their support in July. So unfortunately, there weren't a lot of non-school day options available.
I believe that I have all the questions, and like I mentioned earlier, if we did miss one, we'll definitely review it to reach out. Or if you noticed that your question didn't get addressed, definitely add it to the case, and we can specifically work with you there. That would guarantee eyes on your issue and case. So I definitely want to express my appreciation again for everybody joining in on the call, for KDE hosting, and Matt and David leading us through a lot of these answers for questions. Thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a good rest of the week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Mike, one thing, because I haven't hit the end button, people may have hung up, but the state edition will be updated the weekend before. State edition, our reporting warehouse will be updated the weekend before the district work starts. So KDE staff will be working on those servers and working with that information that weekend to try to make sure everything's back up on the 22nd for if you're still doing any records transfers or student enrollments. State edition hopefully will not be down at all during working business hours. But we are going through the same update too.